Hey guys, welcome to my channel. My name is ReadingBear and I hope you are ready for some more stories. And today, we'll take a look at some new entitled people content. If you enjoyed my content, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and post some bear emojis in the comment. And now, let's dive right into the stories.
The first story is titled "The Rechargeable Batteries Are Over There." This happened yesterday. I was wearing a light gray button-up with the long sleeves rolled and black slacks with black dress shoes. I was at a major grocer wherein the employees wear royal blue polos and khakis. I was looking at an end cap, comparing two different Lego toys, trying to figure out which one I wanted to buy a little girl. All of a sudden, I hear a woman ask, "Hey, where are the battery chargers?" I've looked everywhere. So I turn my head to the right, see a woman standing near me, looking at me waiting for an answer. I replied, "Sorry ma'am, I don't work here." She immediately looked to see if I had a name tag, and upon realizing I didn't, she said, "Oh my god, I'm so sorry. I'm so embarrassed right now." Her face went beet red. She started to move off, at which point I said the battery chargers, if there were any, would be next to the batteries in the school and office section. She walked towards that aisle, turned around and asked while laughing, "Are you sure you don't work here?" The next story is titled "Another 30-minute Trip to the Store." For some background, I, 32F, recently shared a story about my experience at Sam's Club with an extreme Karen who thought I worked there about a few weeks ago, and here I am with another debacle. For context, I am 5 feet 1/4 of an inch and weigh 110 pounds soaking wet with all my clothes on. Karen was by far more than capable of loading her own groceries. Me obviously me CK crazy Karen, so I made my trip to get more dog food and some other grocery stuff from Sam's Club today, and the dog food was on sale, so I got like 4 bags of it and a few cases of water on a flat bed with some other assorted stuff, chips, etc. etc. I was in and out as I did the scan and go. Bless you kind soul who told me to that on the comments of my last post, and left my cart by the unloading zone while I pulled my car up. I am loading up my stuff and this lady shows up and is hovering behind me. So I ignore her, and then she did the dreaded Karen throat clear. I have no idea why she is doing any of this, so I assume she was waiting for someone. I finish loading my stuff and lock my car and take the flatbed inside and come back and go to get in my car, and this is the conversation that followed. "CK, hello, I've been waiting for you to load my groceries while you LOLLYGAGGED around. Ma'am, I don't work here, so I will not load your 2 carts full of groceries into your car." CK spluttering, "So I don't see why you can't just do it for me, because I don't work here." CK, "Wow, you really have the audacity to say that to me." Yes, because I don't work here." At that point it was like being in a hamster wheel trying to follow her logic as to why she would think a random person would help her load groceries. So I just got in my car and shut the door as she was still ranting about the whole thing and drove away. The next story is titled "Sorry Sir, but you have the wrong number." So this story happened over 20 years ago, late 1990s, and is something I heard secondhand from my mom, in regards to the main part, as I was at work when the last phone call in question occurred. My then toddler son and I had been living with my parents in a rented house up until my son was around 1.5, when we had to move due to the landlord deciding to sell the house. No big deal. These things happen. What is important to understand is that this took place before people could have their landline phone numbers follow them from one residence to another, so we had to change our landline phone number. It is also important to note that in our phone company, according them at the time, stated that all defunct numbers were held for at least 6 to 12 months minimum before being reissued, so as to help keep wrong calls to previous number holders at a minimum. Unfortunately, this didn't solve all issues. We almost immediately started getting phone calls for a woman we will call Zilana. We would tell people that this was no longer her number, hadn't been for at least 6 months, and that we did not have a new number for her. Now, had this only been an occasional call from a few different people, this would not be a big deal, and definitely would not be in this subreddit. But it wasn't. We were fielding at least 2 to 3 calls for her every couple of days. And it was almost always completely different people. And since many of them would ask, "Is this Zelina?" when my mother or I answered the phone, but ask, "Is Zelina there, available?" or similar when my dad answered, it was pretty easy to figure out that these people had not necessarily known Zelina on a personal level. After 6 to 8 months of this, my mother suddenly called me at work one day, and in an extremely serious tone, tells me that I need to come directly home after work. She and my dad would be picking my son up from daycare for me, so I didn't need to worry about it. She wanted to know if there was anywhere I wanted to go out to eat in particular, as we had to discuss something serious. Now I feel obliged to state at this point, that I have not always had the best history with my parents. We didn't always get along, and I have always been a bit of a black sheep in family dynamics, and we had only just started repairing our relationship about a year before I got pregnant with my son, and it was still tenuous at times. And here, my mother called me and sounded like she was about to give me the absolutely worst news in the world. So my mind is immediately searching for what I may have done wrong. Did I do something wrong? Were my son and I about to be kicked out? Did they want to do this in public to avoid me from breaking down? My anxiety was through the roof. So thinking I was going for my figurative last meal, I said I wanted to eat at a nearby all-you-can-eat buffet. Cue after work, and we are sitting at the restaurant. I am still worried as all get out. My mother looks at me and states simply, "We are changing our phone number." Excuse me, what? She then explained that we can no longer keep the phone number we have had, and she and my dad then apologize if this is going to cause me any problems at work, since I had just changed my contact info less than a year before. But that it was non-negotiable. I finally got my thoughts organized enough to ask what exactly had happened, and my dad, smirking and laughing, said, "Zelina." My poor mother just looked like she was torn between a laugh and cry. So she proceeds to describe what I can only imagine must have been the most embarrassing phone call of her life. Apparently that day had been a busy day for Zelina calls, because we had gotten about 3 to 4 of them back to back. As per the usual, my mom's response was, "Sorry, but there is no Zelina here. This is not her number and has not been her number for at least a year or more." On the last call, the man on the other end was a bit confused. He said something along the lines of, "Oh, but this is the number given on the flyer. Are you her replacement? Do you provide the same services?" This piqued my mom's interest. "I'm sorry, but no, I believe so. But we have been getting a lot of calls for her since we got this number, so can I ask what flyer and services you are referring to?" At this point, apparently the man hesitated a moment before telling her, "The flyer is for Zelina's, insert adult business name. It states that she provides intimate services. I was calling about the ménage à trois service." My mother, bless her heart, was a good Catholic girl in her younger days and didn't know what that was. The gentleman apologized for the wrong number and hung up. Confused, my mom looked at my dad, who had to explain it to her at the time. That was when my mom called me, in utter shock and disbelief. As she finished recounting the story, she finally broke out in an exhausted laugh and said, "Sorry, but I am not taking any more calls for that, and I do not want a phone number associated with that. Also, with you working for Catholic newspaper, I don't think boss's name or anyone else would appreciate us having a phone number associated with it either." Yeah. I couldn't disagree. But when I did tell my coworkers and boss about it, they did have a good laugh about it. Of course, we did request a new number from the phone company, and at first they were adverse to it, as we had the number over 6 months already. But when my parents explained the issue, they were more than happy to oblige. They did tell us though that they wouldn't be able to change it again anytime soon, unless we were to move again. The next story is entitled Parent Tries to Kick Me Off My Own Property. Okay, for a tiny bit of backstory, I live in a suburb, outside of a larger city. The suburb is full of upper middle class and beyond type people for the most part. So most everyone in the suburb is entitled. The people who live behind me just moved in about 2 or 3 months ago. When I initially met them after they moved in, they seemed nice. I didn't realize they had a kid until recently. Our story begins with me outside, mowing the grass as I do every single Friday of every week. I like to keep everything tidy and clean in the yard. My yard isn't big, but it's hard to maneuver, so on days where I have to bag the grass, it takes a maximum of about 2 hours. As it is, it already feels really tedious to get everything done. So I'm already somewhat stressed out since I always feel time crunched, whether it be with gigs, or with marching band, it feels like I'm constantly on a clock. Anyway, I get to my backyard, and I'm mowing. I notice the neighbor's child run from their yard to my yard. He's playing around on the border, so nothing too annoying. I'm fine with him playing around. It was kind of adorable because he tried to hide behind trees and pulled down tree branches and tried to blend in. It was cute. As I'm mowing, I notice he gets out a toy bow, like the ones which have the suction cup at the front. He was shooting it around. Again, I didn't mind. Until he started shooting it near my mower. The arrows weren't brightly colored, so I was nervous I might accidentally run one over. I stopped the mower to bag, and I walked up calmly to the kid, smiling as to not seem mad or anything, and all I say was, "Hey, please be careful when you shoot the arrows around here. I really don't want to run over and break one of your arrows." The kid stared at me kind of blankly. Before just kind of running into the house. I shrug it off and keep mowing. I have my back turned when I feel an angry tapping on my shoulder. Here is EP, angrily standing over me, trying to be intimidating. I turn off the mower, take off my noise-canceling headphones, and immediately I get yelled at. "How dare you threaten my child like you did?" EP screams at me. I'm confused. I know I didn't threaten the child, but at the same time, there were other people mowing. Perhaps I had just been mistaken for someone else. I respond with, "I didn't. What did I say that was so threatening? You should know, you bastard. You should never tell a child, especially mine, that you'll beat him up until he's dead." At this point I'm just like, yo, what the duck, why does this keep happening to me? I didn't say that though. Where's the proof I said any of that before you baselessly accuse me? I'm just pissing EP off more, but at this point, I didn't really care. I wanted to see how angry I could make them. My baby's word is enough proof. He would never lie about anything. Are you sure about that? I didn't threaten him. Of course I am. EP is so damn loud I'm pretty sure the Andromeda galaxy could hear her. I sigh, wondering why I continually get attacked by entitled parents. EP has quieted herself though, finally, most likely because she's talking to her child. I began to put my headphones back on until I suddenly hear, "You know what? You are going to repay me in full by leaving, and by giving my child your phone." EP looks smug, like she thinks I'm just going to give my phone away or something. No. I would never let anyone have my phone, and also, I live on this property. You have no right to tell me to get off it unless you have actual proof. I was a little pissed off and starting to get impatient, but I didn't handle the situation any worse than EP in my eyes. "So, may I go back to mowing now? I have crap I actually have to do." I finish. I think I was close to getting rid of EP at that point, but I think I ruined that with the last part. Oh please. Trans people don't do anything with their lives except mope about who they aren't. That pinched a nerve. I have a trans flag in my window and I'm guessing she saw it and thought, opportunity. You only wish that was how trans people were, because maybe if they were that way, you wouldn't feel so invalidated yourself. I'd respond, shoving the EP a little bit. I just wanted to finish mowing. EP does the EP thing to do and screeches out, as they all do, "Rape." Do you know the gender of EP yet? Luckily, before anyone else could come be angry at me, my neighbor, who I've known since I was a child, came to my rescue and said, "Lady, could you stop assaulting her? She's not raping you, and she hasn't done anything wrong. Just let her finish mowing." Shout out to Rachel, my neighbor. EP has nothing left to say. She angrily stomps back into her house with her kid, making those sort of angry noises. I thanked Rachel, finishing the lawn and making sure EP didn't come back to rape me this time around. Story is titled Easter Karen. I, F21, was volunteering at a church on Easter passing out plastic bags for the egg drop. Just so you know, I was around 11 or 12 at the time this happened. While I was passing out the bags I hear Karen yelling at me. She was yelling, "I have a question. I have a question." When I heard this I was like, oh heck no, not today. So, as the nice person I am, I turned around giving a friendly smile. She asks me if the kids can go out twice to get eggs. I had no idea because they were trying to keep it fair, so I went to go look for a church worker, Minster. She told me that Karen wasn't able to do that because the kids would throw a fit if someone got more eggs than them. When I told Karen this, she started to yell at me saying how she has been coming to the event for years and how it was stupid that we made it fair for all of the children. I told her it wasn't in my control because I didn't work there. I let her rant on, but I was startled because I was only 11/12. What would you think I would do? Honestly, I was waiting for her to ask for the manager. Surprisingly, she just stomped away. Later, we found out that she was smoking around the little kids. And now I refuse to go to that church or any other church. By the way, do you think I was in the wrong? The next story is titled Pick Up This Dog Poop. So, to set the scene. I had just finished work. Exhaustion threatening to take hold of my body and me fighting with every fiber of my being to stay conscious enough for the final push of making the drive home. I had just popped into the local supermarket and picked up some cereal and a trifle. I know, an odd combination, but I hope future historians will struggle to find an explanation for it. I was walking towards my car, the light at the end of the tunnel glinting hopefully and signaling an end to my 12-hour workday. I opted to cut down a quick side street since, outside of work I'm anti-social and working in retail sucks the enthusiasm to deal with the general public. And then it happened, the Karen dragon appeared. Little did I know with my sleep-deprived brain that this monstrosity approaching breathed hellishly with Karen fire, but, alas, I was about to find out firsthand. I sidestepped a dog turd a particularly lazy pet owner had decided to leave, and then the two words every brave retail knight dreads escaped the lips of the banshee harlot that was bearing down on me now. Excuse me. Unfortunately for me, this particular brand of crazy was unknown, even to me. Are you going to pick up that dog *hash tea? She croaked in the raspy voice. I looked down at myself at my cereal and trifle. Yup. I was most definitely not the designated *tea shoveler she presumed me to be. What? I asked back, mystified as to how a random stranger she just accosted in the street should be responsible for cleaning up a random turd. Are you going to pick up this dog *hash tea? She repeated emphatically. Why would I? I see, this is what my council tax goes towards. Lazy workers who don't keep the streets clean. I'm going to be reporting you. And then here is where I remembered something I read on another IDWHL post, and it was perfect. Are you all right, dear? I asked earnestly. Do you need me to call someone to come pick you up? Yes, I'm fine, the Karen replied, her face screwing up in confusion. Why are you going to call someone? Because you must either be senile, have dementia, or just be eternally stupid if you think a random person who just happens to be walking in the opposite direction is there to pick up *T off the pavement. There's no need to be rude. The banshee snarled animalistically, coiling up to deliver the Karen strike. You're right. I'm sorry. I'll just ring the care home to have someone swing by in the van and meet you. I don't live in a care home. How dare you be rude to me? It was at this point I just stepped around her and continued walking. Her tirade ceased momentarily as she stared at my back in odd confusion. Apparently, this Karen was not used to being ignored, and not having instant vindication for her Karening short-circuited her brain. The hamster in her head had apparently shrugged and decided to bail, leaving the proverbial hamster wheel spin idly. She flapped her mouth open and shut as I threw her a cheeky wave and went on my way. So that was my harrowing ordeal, my Karen in the wild. Probably not the most scintillating tale, but one that still brings a smile to my face. The next story is titled I Was the Lady. I entered a boutique and was browsing through. The only other person in the store, a woman, was across the aisle from me with a few items draped on her shoulder. She was arranging some stuff that was on the table. I saw cute shoes but no price tag, so I went, "Excuse me, how much are these?" It took a couple of seconds and then she looked up and went, I don't work here, I'm also shopping. And I was very apologetic and extremely embarrassed. I also then noticed that she was searching for something on that table, and while she wasn't carrying a handbag, which is what threw me off, she had a tiny wallet in her hand. Person who worked there was in the inner room behind the counter. I lurked around waiting for them to come out so that I could ask about the shoes. They didn't and I got bored and left. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe to the channel and post some bear emojis in the comments.